Man, I hate to say it about the NBA's darling in the Boston Celtics, but they're not as good as everybody thinks. Now, this is a awesome team still, but there's some concerns here that I'm weary of, certainly. So, Robert Williams this last week got to clean up an arthroscopic surgery on that left knee to fully repair that torn meniscus he was playing on last postseason. And, Brian, you've said it many times before, it was a heroic act to play through that, and as well as he was able to, given he was basically on one leg. Coming in, the Celtics have no backup center. I think a guy that many people talked about for this team is Jakob Poeltl. After trading away Daniel Tice, a guy who played valuable minutes for them in the playoffs, if look, Robert Williams misses time often, and in another deep, long playoff run that is very realistic, if he goes out, Al Horford's turning 37 in June, my man. You can't really expect that guy to play 80 plus games at the level he was last postseason because keep in mind, he had that sort of off season in OKC, give him some time to re energize. So I'm very worried about this team's front court depth. And then last night, we got around midnight some pretty shocking reports in late September that Ime Udoka is facing a season long suspension for basically violating the Celtics code of conduct with a female staff member. You lose Will Hardy, your lead assistant to the Utah Jazz, and I'm not sure who's going to fill in for Ime Udoka if he misses time, which it seems very much like he will. Now, Brandon, did you see Stephen A's reaction to it, where it's like, what is going on here? I'm losing respect for your franchise because this right here is out of the line if you're going to suspend a coach for the entire year. You see that?
No, I haven't
I
because
saw it's visceral.
yeah, yeah, I've been here with you guys. I just saw it pop up as a notification, the video, but yeah, I just, for me, my from what I know of the situation, because it's still all pretty new and everything's going on right now. Um, listen, from what the reports are saying right now, it was a improper, consensual, intimate relationship where I believe the words that were used. For me, if it's consensual, these are two grown adults making grown adult decisions. It's their personal life. Yes, he violated. He's going to have to, face those consequences. But for me, I'm not getting into somebody's personal life. So it was two grown people making two grown decisions, and I'm just going to leave it at that for them. I
There's a
think I
lot
did
more
see
that
a
goes
report
into
though,
it.
John, that the no, I can't say it because it's not here in front of me. So I don't know who I think it said the assistant head coach is possibly going to be the.
Joe Mazzola,
I think I saw that, but it's gone now off my phone. I don't know where it went. It was right there.
he's
One thing I was thinking is, wouldn't it be something if Brad Stevens came from downstairs? Would that be better than their assistant?
he can't. It's so stressful in the front office as is. It's a little bit too much to handle, and we've seen so many coaches the overload in traveling while acting as the team's president of basketball operations. That is a really tiring thing. I don't think Brad Stevens wants to do that. I think he's really happy where he is. So yeah, Joe Mazzulla, thank you for mentioning that. He will likely serve as the interim head coach. I am not very familiar with him. He's 34 years old, so he's definitely one of the younger coaches. But hey, in this generation, that's kind of what players want. If you're a former guy that's relatable and one they're going to buy in on, he can get these guys to play hard. But Ime Udoka was crucial in their playoff run last year. His ability to motivate and push the right buttons for this team to waver through a long playoff run. And I don't think you guys or any of us can understand how tough it is to make two straight long playoff runs. And I think for the Celtics, they should be a 50-win team in the regular season. Ultimately, I think it's a toss-up between them and the 76ers. And I'm going to have Philadelphia having the best record in this division. There's the continuity there. And with a third head coach in 3 years, Joe Mazzulla has only been with Boston for 3 seasons now. There's going to be a little bit of a changing in the way the team is run day to day. And I expect Mazzulla to try to kind of implement the way Ime Udoka had his team defending. But there's a lot more than scheme that goes into 82 games in the regular season and then ideally 16 wins in the postseason. So this, assuming Ime Udoka is going to be suspended for the entire year, is a crucial blow. He is one of the three most important people to this operation. So yeah, I got the Philadelphia 76ers topping them. Want to jump into them? Because you guys, I'm not sure if you had them as your number two if you had Boston at one.
Yeah. So, well, actually, Justin, do you have a thing that you might think will piss John off as your number 2 team, or because I know I do?
Well, it's not Philadelphia, I'll tell you that much. And
That's
it's
what.
not
Yeah, it's not Philadelphia for me either.
The Nets are not that good, fellas.
I'm sorry. I listen, after
Yep.
they've gotten into some crazy offseason stuff, they've been the butt of some terrible jokes with Kyrie and KD, but things have been silent lately. And
No, they haven't, Justin.
I feel like I'm not hearing too many bad.
You didn't see Kyrie's recent stuff
No.
where he retweeted an Alex Jones post, and he also just made a comment on the vaccine policy, because I think the mayor changed the rules that it's over, but he's going to leave it, I guess, to certain boroughs or whatever is still going to be applicable. He's still talking. He loves the.
Well, I mean, Kyrie's going to talk. I don't find that as a big deal.
Yeah, but the Alex Jones one, I mean,
Not a big deal to me.
you know Alex Jones?
I have to do my research,
All
but
right,
no.
he's basically the guy who's on. I don't think he's on trial anymore, but he was just on trial. He's the guy that said Sandy Hook was a conspiracy and it was faked, and all the parents were paid actors. And he was just on trial for that. And Kyrie reposted a thing of Alex Jones talking about the New World Order and stuff like that from like.
Oh, okay.
2000.
Yeah,
turn the
I know
page.
what you're talking about. I know what you're talking
Yes.
about. Okay, I saw that video.
Yeah.
All right. I'm not going to touch on that. That's a touchy subject. Kyrie's a nut, and we all know that. But I'm talking about straight basketball. I'm not talking about anything outside.
If only you're
I
that
think
easy.
you're right, but I do anticipate the Nets to come together. I think KD and Kyrie will be on the court a little bit more than we're used to seeing them, and I think that'll translate to a ton of wins and a ton of success. I think the Nets come in second in this division, but not by much. I don't think Philly's that far behind.
So what exactly with the coach that neither of you two believe in, neither do the players actually respect? Do you guys see this team?
I believe in the talent.
You believe in the
Yeah.
talent. The top end potential for this team is an NBA title, right? You
For
have the
some people.
most
Yeah, some.
most skilled forward and guard in the league. KD is top 5 or 6 player. Then in 2021 looked like the best in the world. And now you add in Ben Simmons, right? He's a former All-NBA player, one that hasn't played in 2 years, but as you say, Brandon, second runner-up and defensive player of the year, and one of the better playmakers at his position. You add in TJ Warren, who hasn't played in over a year. Royce O'Neal, who was cooked last year in the playoffs. There's a lot of names here. With me, I typically give teams a benefit of the doubt when they've actually given me reason to grant them that. With this Brooklyn Nets team, there are so many questions with each and every single member here that in order for them to reach the highest of levels, basically 75, so out of their 10 questions, 8 of them have to be answered with a thumbs up. And I think that's a little bit foolish. I do.
Yeah, listen, I hate that I have to talk highly about the Brooklyn Nets because I'm not a fan of KD. I'm a fan of Kyrie on the court, off the court. He's a jackass, just plain and simple. Ben Simmons, good player on the court. He's got his off the court issues, not like Kyrie's, but just he's dealing with demons in his own head. But yeah, if you ask me, I believe talent wise, I'm gonna put them as the second best team in this division. I just listen, man. If you got KD,
Are we
you
going
got
off of
Kyrie,
talent or winning games?
talent. I'm not. Yeah.
No, I'm asking, like, is this ranking? We're ranking the 5 teams or previewing all 5. Is this preview based off of talent or actually we're projecting them to win?
I'm basing this off talent.
But that's not what I'm. So we're ranking these teams right now, these 5 teams, not off of what actually matters, off of talent. That's what we're doing? That's all that goes into winning games?
Listen, when you're talking about the Nets, it's really a bunch of ifs. A lot of ifs. A lot of things need to go right. They have the talent to compete. They have the talent, if things go right, to be a title contender. And that's where I put them. If things go right.
Yeah, I mean, listen, again, I hate that I have to be the one to sit up here and help defend the Nets because I don't want to do it. But listen, we all know what happened the last 2 years. They almost beat the NBA Finals champions. If it wasn't for KD's big toe being on the line, they would have been in the NBA Finals. Possibly would have beaten the Phoenix Suns.
Oh, they would have. Sure.
Yeah. So I mean, again, now you take James Harden out. which you really didn't need it to begin with, and you get a guy that you actually need his skill set on the team, which is a playmaker, a defender, and a guy who can, finish down low. There you go.
I'm not sure
we're
about the
ready to
last
go.
part.
I think he can make layups and dunks.
Well, he was afraid to take a lap the last time he played in the playoffs.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Ben
but,
Simmons is almost
usually
useless in the
he's
playoffs.
making dunks and layups.
In the playoffs, he's been a negative for his team for half of his years.
All right, but he's not going to be relied on as an offensive weapon. In Philadelphia, he was the second guy, and he shouldn't have been.
So if one of Kyrie or KD misses time, what will he be? A second option.
Yeah, but I'm not going off of injury again. You know this about me. I don't put injury
But
into my
KD
predictions.
and Kyrie have never played a full season in recent years. They've always been injured. And when KD has this big of a workload at 34 years old, he has consistently showed his body can't hold up. So it's not just you living in la la land, it's you pricing in what is reality, because that's what we're living in. Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving are not going to
healthy last year in the playoffs, though.
Kevin Durant was coming off of a sprained MCL where he missed over a month.
He still played, though.
Yeah, and he roared of gas because he had basically, no support.
I'm not saying he played well. I'm just saying they played.
For 4 games. They got swept.
Right, well, that's all they had. I'm not saying they had a long game. It was 4 games. Yeah,
so
that's all they played.
The sample is almost useless to actually take into account.
Listen, I'm just bringing up what they said. All right, then if you want to go back a year previous, where were they? Without Kyrie and James Harden.
I have the Nets in number 4.
Where were the Brooklyn Nets 2 years ago without Kyrie and James Harden?
Oh,
Game 7, Milwaukee Bucks.
They were the better team in 2021.
Big toe. The Brooklyn Nets were better than the Milwaukee Bucks then?
Yes, they're the better team. With James Harden.
James Harden was a shell of himself. He was coming off the hamstring. Sure. He wasn't nothing. Kyrie was out.
With James Harden at 20% and Kyrie on the bench, the Nets were not the better team. The Bucks were.
But that's what I'm saying. That's exactly what was on the court, though.
Yeah.
So now you take James Harden out, you put a Ben Simmons in, Kyrie's gonna play.
This is nice, but I'm sure you and I could both, and Justin as well. Does that actually matter when we apply that logic to predicting something? Because when you take one guy, you put another in, what that leads to is a lack of continuity, a lack of structure. And with poor coaching, poor durability, poor leadership, poor depth that you can't trust on, I don't trust this team.
I just want to say I just want to say for my final conclusion for this team, I'm not defending the Nets. They're not going to win a championship because I don't believe in them. I'm just saying they're the number 2 team in this division. But moving on to your Philadelphia 76ers, they're my number 3 team. The reason I have them there, like you want to talk about KD and Kyrie's health issues, then you can't talk about that without mentioning Joel Embiid because he is the almost leader of that. Joel Embiid, don't trust the health. James Harden's going to choke in the playoffs, so there's where I have them.
I'll be honest, he had a very negative segment on the Nets right there. Joel Embiid last year played a career high in games, and that was in spite of missing 3 weeks of COVID. I think Embiid has done a very good job. Justin, he's done a great job in recent years staying healthy. And honestly, I think he's a top 6 player in the league. I have him right there at Kevin Durant. When you have those guys, you can win at the highest of levels. No denying that. And the cool thing about the 76ers team is they don't need necessarily James Harden to be 85% of what he was in Houston. They just need him to make his 3-point shots at a relatively high level and give them some juice off the dribble alongside Tyrese Maxey. If those two guys can improve off of what they were last year, which is very realistic, this 76ers team has the upside to beat anybody in the league. And honestly, I think you and I, all of us could all agree, I have the Bucks above the Celtics. I think the Bucks are the best team in the conference. There's no one that matches up better with Giannis than Joel Embiid. And that's a playoff matchup I'm really excited to see because we haven't gotten to see those two superstars play each other yet. And in the regular season, the Sixers with Doc Rivers, they're going to win 55 games or more, honestly. And that's insane in this Eastern Conference because you have about 8 or 9 to 10 playoff teams. Maybe 55 is a little bit shooting them high, but I think they're going to win at least 50, up to 55. And when you look at the depth of this team, they added Montrezl Harrell with Paul Reed in the front court. And more notably, like I talked about Tyrese Maxey, you have PJ Tucker playing his role. He's like the best 5th starter in basketball. You have Daniel House, DeAnthony Melton as well as your 3rd or 4th guard. The 76ers are deep. They're good enough to win in spite of Doc Rivers being average. They have a lot of continuity, and they have very good leadership. I say, unlike a Kevin Durant or Kyrie Irving, Joel Embiid and PJ Tucker, they're going to hold their teammates accountable. And the guys for them that struggle in the playoffs, a la a Matisse Thybulle that couldn't really make shots. Matisse is like their 9th or 10th guy, like the 5th off the bench. And I'm saying there's so much versatility here in the way they can use lineups. They're the best team in the Atlantic Division.
I like Philly. I've been high on them before. I think they can go deep in the playoffs this year. It all depends on what kind of James Harden are we getting. Obviously, I don't think we're going to see Mr. 30 points per game James Harden again, but just a efficient one that can knock down shots when absolutely necessary. That's still what you want to see out of James Harden. But yeah, I still got them finishing third. Like I said, it's not too far behind Brooklyn. I think both teams are going to be absolutely fantastic. It's just a matter of who goes further in the playoffs. But we're talking about divisions. I got them third. And this is the best division in the East. So